Guys, welcome to Box, the football talk show powered by Sportology TV. My name's Uni. That's my co-host, Ali Drew. Before we introduce our massive guest that we've got on this week, we brought on a West Ham legend just a bit ago in Tony Cottee, somebody who knows how to hit the back of the net. He spoke about West Ham's great season so far, also spoke about Everton and Leicester and their great season. So definitely check that out. Ali, who have we got on today?
Yes, so the big guests on the show this week just keep on coming. We are joined by a football legend. He is a former player for teams including Everton, Man City and Wolves. He's also a former England international. He's now a pundit and works as part of the management team for Man City under-23s. We are delighted to be joined by Joleon Lescott. Joleon, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Good.
Great to have you on. How's life treating you at the moment? Obviously, weird times that we're going through, but how are you finding things?
No, I can't complain at the minute, to be fair. I know it's difficult for a lot of people, but luckily for me, every game is on telly. I'm working in that industry means that I'm working a lot, so I'm getting out of the house a few times a week with work punditry-wise, and then getting into Man City on the odd occasion as well to kind of offer some rehab sessions to one of the lads recovering from injury. So not much has changed for me. This lockdown, the first lockdown was a lot harder, but I can't complain about this one, to be honest. Only the weather.
Joleon, I saw you on Sky Sports actually doing a bit of punditry. How is that coming along? I know it's probably a little bit new to you, but how is that sort of transition coming along at the moment?
Yeah, it's okay. At first, it was a bit daunting. I wasn't sure if I was going to retire or wanted to carry on, and I was still doing the punditry. And knowing how hard players work and to maintain fitness and perform, I didn't know if I was ready to go into that industry and be wanting to criticise in any way. Not that you have to, but just in any way. I wasn't sure if I was going to be ready, but to be fair, producers and co-pundits and stuff like that have been great. So it's been a lot easier, the transition. And the more you do it, like anything, the better you get. I'd like to think anyway.
You know, one thing about football players, they're really in a shell. When they get interviewed and they're a football player associated to a football club, I'm sure that you guys get told what to say and what you can't say before certain big interviews or press conferences. Now the shackles are off. You know, Jolen Lescott can say whatever he wants on Sky Sports to talk to the people. How has that been? Because we spoke to, I think it was Danny Webb before, who works for MUTV, and he said, you know what, it was a bit difficult, it was a bit strange, but I got used to it. How was it for yourself?
Yeah, again, working for probably a club is a little bit difficult than broadcasters, because you're kind of biased to a certain extent regarding their performances and results and players. So it's probably easier to not criticise when you're working for a club. But yeah, going into that industry, and as I said, knowing how hard it is to perform week in, week out, and the mental aspect of it all, I didn't want to be going in there and just want to be noticed for criticising anyone. So I found it kind of hard to kind of just find a diplomatic answer to a lot of stuff. But as we know, diplomatic answers don't sell, you know what I mean? So it's not like I was knocking anyone's kind of performing at the highest level punditry wise, because as I said, there is a certain level of controversy people want to hear.
Yeah. So you're not taking that Roy Keane approach, are you? Just going gung-ho and just going all out attack on someone.
And that Roy Keane is obviously a different personality to mine. But again, he warrants that. It suits him. It doesn't look unnatural for him to speak like that. And I love the fact that him and Micah are so good at together. You know what I mean? I think Micah's made him more kind of acceptable. You see him laughing and smiling a lot more. And that is Micah's natural personality. So I think as long as you're natural to you, just continue to do what you're doing, really.
I think Sky sort of pulled out weird relationships, because we've got Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, who were Man United, Liverpool, and somehow it worked. Now
my favourite duo.
And then we've got Micah Richards, who's this young, funny character. He's always smiling and laughing. And we've got this serious Roy Keane, who's just ripping into players. But somehow that relationship has worked. He sort of opened up Roy Keane slightly. It's just weird how things work in
definitely. As I said, boys, it opposites attract. So the generations, the kind of different love for different teams in terms of Gary Neville and Carragher. So yeah, it works. I'm not sure they planned it to work so well, but it happens, and yeah, good luck to them.
You know, obviously you played football at such a high level, you know, for so long. Now you're doing the punditry stuff. I mean, this might be an obvious question, but now you're doing punditry and also sort of mixing it in the management side. What have you sort of enjoyed the most? Presumably, I think you're going to say you've been playing football, but you know, now you're getting to experience every side of it.
Yeah, no, nothing compares to playing for me. I may say different when I feel a lot older and my body's a little bit tighter and stiffer. But in regards to that, I've spoke to numerous ex-players and we all say the same thing. We'd start again tomorrow. If our bodies allowed us, that's probably the reason why you don't carry on, is because your body doesn't allow you to. So there's no comparison, but it is a second on a close second, because it's something something you've done for the majority of your life, and obviously something you enjoy and feel comfortable talking about. Like, I would watch the games anyway, and then to be talking about them is just even better. You know what I mean? So the conversations are kind of getting to a stage of where it's you talking to friends. Obviously, you're working with people and people that I've played with and working with them so many times. I think if the cameras are on us whilst the game's on, I think it'd probably be more entertaining, because you probably get more animated responses from every pundit.
I suppose you're in a privileged position, though. There's a lot of footballers who leave football and sort of just try to find out what's next for them, really. So I think that sort of worked out for yourself and a lot of other football players. But let's talk about one of your former clubs who seems to be just leading the line, being on top of the league once again in Man City. Seems like Pep's got these players playing this time. At the start of the season, there was a lot of talk about when Man City were 12th and 13th, and you know there was these little memes coming out on social media. But things have changed, man. This season's been so crazy that everyone was a champion. Man United were champions in December. In November, Tottenham were champions. You know, but it seems like if something serious doesn't go wrong for Man City, they are going to sort of be champions. What do you make of their season so far, Joleon?
Well, obviously, the start, like everyone else, kind of unsure to why it didn't start the way it's been of recent months. But I think if you look back a few weeks ago, Pep touched on it and said, like, they didn't have any pre-season. There was like a break of like 2 weeks, and players need to switch off mentally, physically. And then when you do switch off and you come back in, it's not instant where it just regains the form. So again, that played a factor. There was injuries. I know the clubs have complained about injuries, but there was injuries at the start. There was no striker, and it kind of wasn't the setup it is now. So there's a lot of things to why it didn't start the way it's been going recently. But of recent form, since the Spurs defeat, there's been no one even close to them. I think they've just kind of set a new level. And again, it's probably not nothing we haven't seen them do. It's just the consistency that they're doing it.
Well, one thing that we haven't seen them do in a while is have a good, solid defensive pairing. Last season, they were trying to find that. That's the reason why they probably didn't win the league or didn't push for the league as much as they did. They have this season. But this season, they'd be phenomenal at the back. Ruben Diaz, John Stones. We've got Laporte, who's on the bench at the moment. And then you've got the fullbacks as well, even in Cancelo and Zinchenko at this present time. But what do you make of that defensive unit that Pep's constructed this season?
Yeah, I think he's brought in Diaz. The club brought in Diaz, and he's been exceptional. I think it's helped him coming from a team where he's used to winning in style. The pressure of having to challenge for titles, it wasn't new. Also, possibly coming to a new league where there's no fans, so it's different kind of atmospheres, and it's more relaxed when you go to away games. There's probably less jeering, booing to kind of influence your performance, but you can't take nothing away from his performances. He doesn't look like it's his first season in the Premier League. He looks like he's been here for however long. So in terms of the collective, I think there was a tweak again after the Spurs game. I think he adjusted it to where fullbacks are not overlapping as much. I know Cancelo's contributed so much in general play, but I think if you analyse his and Zinchenko's positions, it's a lot safer now and a lot less susceptible to the counter-attack. So them little tweaks that Pep recognises within each game help. And now you're the likes of John Stones coming back in and performing, who I think has to have extra credit because at the start of the season, he was potentially 4th, 5th choice centre half at Man City. There was speculation of him leaving, but credit to him, he had to make sure he was ready if the opportunity came, and he did that, and he hasn't looked back since.
That centre-back partnership, obviously a position you know so well, you know, it was missing from Man City for the last sort of few years. Do you think that sort of change that has been made and how strong it is now, it's one of the strongest in the league, really. Do you think that is the difference that's made them sort of being second and third to then being top and clearly going top at the moment?
Yeah, I think it's played a massive part in it. I don't think there's any one factor that has been the reason to why. I don't think there's been a standout individual in their squad. I think you could pick 8 or 9 players out of their team squad that you could say, yeah, they could win Player of the Year for Man City or the Premier League. So in regards to the partnership, I think it's important that you have a stable partnership. And again, Diaz has came, and I think the last 2 seasons, he's played over 50 games, which is a huge thing. Like, the problem with Man City's defensive issues over the last couple of seasons have been just reliability in terms of fitness. So the fact that he's come in and he's reliable, he's available, plays a massive part. And having to only pick one player, because you know one of them is always going to be fit, is a lot easier than having to find a partnership.
Joleon, I wanted to ask you, sort of defending sort of changed over the last couple of years. From now on, you have to have that attribute to play from the back, be able to bring the ball out, pass the ball. Back in the day, it was just more about stopping play and just passing it to a midfield in front of you and just let them deal with everything else. Knowing the sort of footballer that you were, you'd adapt quite easily into this era, right? Because you were quite good with the ball, weren't you?
I like to think so. Yeah, obviously, I was a defender that enjoyed defending, but again, who doesn't want the ball and contribute in that sense? But yeah, it's changed. Like the profiling of players and recruiting players has changed from heading and kicking it to kind of how good is or comfortable is in possession. And I think everyone, or pretty much most defenders, are comfortable now. And I think you're recognising defenders for them not being good defenders, rather than in the past, everyone could defend and you could recognise the ones that wasn't so comfortable in possession. So if I look now and see 2 defenders that I look at and think enjoy it, barring Stones and Diaz, I look at Konza at Aston Villa and Godfrey at Everton. I look at them and think they're as comfortable as you need to be, as they need to be in their team, but they love defending, which still gives me hope that there are defenders out there.
This is going to be a big statement if you're asking this, but now obviously Man City are top. Do you predict that they're going to be able to hold this now till the end of the season and they're going to get the win?
Yeah, I would be surprised if they didn't. I think if you look at form of them and other teams, like, was it 10 points? So what's that, 4 games?
But it is a crazy season.
Yeah, but if it was Liverpool second, I wouldn't be so confident. But the fact that it's Leicester and Man United, in the greatest respect to what they're doing, I don't see them winning 4 games in a row and Man City losing 4 games in a row. I don't see Man City losing 4 games in order for someone to catch them anyway. But we're asking teams to do things they haven't done. So barring Man City and Liverpool over the last few seasons, no team has gone on an 8 to 10 game winning streak, which we now know you need to do to win the Premier League. There's no 3 games. Unbeaten in 7 is not good enough. You need to win 7 and possibly then draw another 3. So again, the bar's been raised so high, and I haven't seen anyone yet to match that for me to be confident that someone can catch Man City.
Joleon, how would you sort of sum up your time at Man City? The period that you came into the club, how would you sum up your period at Man City?
Oh, brilliant. Again, recruited at a time where the expectation from everyone outside of the club was really low. We were deemed, the group of players that were just deemed to just join in for money reasons. There was no trophy motivation. And that was kind of the motivation for us all. Like at the time we had Kolo Toure, was part of the Invincibles, who was Arsenal captain. Gareth Barry, Aston Villa captain, Carlos Tevez. They were coming at the same time. Adebayor, one of the top strikers in the league at the time. And then we added David Silva, Yaya Toure, Clichy, Kolarov. Like, it was just, we knew what we were there to do within the group and the club. And to do that and fulfill it was special. Again, looking back, I think you ask any player looking back, they remember their whole career, but they especially remember the times when they were winning things. Because again, that's what you set out to do. Is when I was young, even the Premier League, I would probably say the Premier League is one thing I didn't think or set out to win. You don't set out to win the league. The FA Cup is one thing I set out as a youngster. I thought, wow, imagine winning the FA Cup, and then to do that, and then you get closer to other goals, and you're like, yeah, we can win this league, and then you obviously ambition of doing that. But there was never a point of my youth of, oh yeah, let's play for a team that wins the Premier League. It just wasn't an ambition of mine.
But winning the Premier League the way that Man City won it initially was just probably one of the greatest or one of the craziest Premier League wins. Just give me your emotions on like what was going on. How was the dressing room afterwards? What was the sort of feeling around the club at the time?
It's surreal. Again, like I've spoke about this game so many times, and no one believes me. No one believed me until I did a show with Vincent, Micah, and Pablo Zabaleta. And we'd never spoke about it, but we all said the same thing. The game is to watch. It's horrible. It's horrible. We don't play that well. Like, obviously, the scoreline and the way the game pans out is not something you want to go through. Yeah, it's great when you win, but still, it's still not the ideal scenario. I would want to win the Premier League, but the emotions after the game, it was crazy. Again, we'd all been brought together to kind of for that reason, to win and challenge for trophies in the Premier League. And players will tell you, yes, the scrutiny is on them, and it's long and it's hard, but there's a lot of people that are staff that work in a club that replicate the hours you do and probably don't get rewarded the same, or the notification from fans and pundits, accolades and all that stuff. So to see them enjoy it as well was special. We had a party after the game, and literally every member of staff from the club was there, and it was like just a mad party. It's like the party that everyone's gonna have come June 21st. It's one of them kind of parties.
All I'm going to say is I'm a United fan, and that day was one of the most exciting days.
Yeah, I gathered that.
I had phone calls coming from Liverpool fans, from Man City, everyone just on my case. But yeah, fair play, man. That was like one of the best Premier League wins ever. But yeah, Ali, go on. You were going to ask.
Would you say that feeling was one of the best feelings you've ever had in your life?
No, as I said, it's not enjoyable. Like, to think about that, because it was so close. I'm not that kind of person. He's an optimist that thinks about only good things and only great times. I'm pessimistic in the sense of I'm thinking of how close we came to not winning, and my contribution to that. So I enjoy it, and I still enjoy it. And it's probably more so when you retire, you look back and realize how important and how good that was, big of an achievement for me and for the club. But yeah, like, I would prefer to win it like these guys now, with 10 points clear, with games to spare, and you could probably enjoy the occasion a lot more because it's a longer period where that was a moment and it was a special moment. Don't get me wrong, but personally, I prefer to win it with 10 games to go.
Yeah, but like Liverpool did last season, just chill, no worries.
I don't want to win nothing like Liverpool. No. I don't want to win nothing like Liverpool. But yeah, I know what you mean.
A topic that I do want to talk to you about, which has been a sort of big topic this season, is VAR and the sort of ruling around it. A lot of controversy, a lot of wrong decisions. People are disagreeing left, right, and centre. What do you make of the whole VAR constant debate every weekend? Yeah,
and that's the problem. I think that it is every weekend proves it can't be as successful as First Sports. I don't think there's ever a weekend where we're not debating a decision. And that was the reason for it. So there was no debate. So again, what is it? I get the offsides. I get there's a line and it kind of rules out any kind of debate over that, which I understand. But some of the decisions and I'm thinking it's still human error. So we're still in the same process. It's just taking longer to decide on that process. So again, I'm glad I'm not around playing in these times when it's on. But in certain aspects, it would have saved me. I'm sure it would have saved me many a time. But as I said, I'm glad there was no VAR when I was playing.
Actually, Jolen, you were in the studio with Graham Souness when you had that little rant about
hilarious.
About English referees, right? The rant is amazing. If people haven't seen it, check it on Sky Sports YouTube channel. But he went in on British referees. He was like, the standard of refereeing is poor. These are poor. He just went on for about 3-4 minutes. And Jolen, you just sat there thinking, bloody hell, what is going on here?
But I'd heard him say that prior to air going on air, so I knew that was coming, and it was a lot less colourful on air. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, he was but he's a legend of the game, and he knows his stuff, and to a certain extent, he's right to what he's saying. He had some valid points in there. Again, there has to be a lot more consistency in the decisions, and I think if it's not the same person making the decisions, then you're not going to get it. Everyone has we're watching a game when two people have a different opinion on the same scenario. So how can you ask for consistency or like an understanding when people in charge to make that decision don't agree? It's crazy.
It's just so many loopholes in that. I think if you're a defender in this day and age with VAR, I think it's just be difficult because every week the rules changing. You can't tackle it intentionally, then you can, and then nobody's a red card this week, and then it's not a red card.
The tackling stuff is frustrating. The handball one is I don't like, because you're taking the advantage away from or any kind of advantage from the defender when he has to defend with his arms behind his back. I just don't see how that is natural. Like, no one does that. We're not asking wingers to dribble with their hands behind their back. You know what I mean? So it's just unfair that everyone else has the capabilities of using their balance to their full capacity, and defenders, oh no, you're nullified, and saying you're basically handcuffed in the box, which is a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, because I think we had Gabby Bonhor on, and he said if he was playing now, he would play totally differently and deliberately, target, like kick the ball at a defender's hand. He said he deliberately.
Gabby would be offside a lot. Gabby would be always offside. Don't listen to Gabby.
He was like, I totally changed how I played.
Yeah.
Johnny, I want to talk about Everton. Big win this weekend against Liverpool. I think it's the first win in the derby since '99.
99 Anfield, yeah.
Talk to me about your former club. They seem to be, they've got a good team. They've got a great manager. They seem to be playing a lot better football than we've seen them in recent years. But just give me your little analysis on Everton's season so far.
Okay, great season. I think if you were to ask any Evertonian player, staff, that they would be level on points with Liverpool with a game in hand after 5 games. That'll snatch your hand off, regardless of where Liverpool are, you know what I mean? So in terms of the season and how it started was great. Obviously, top after 4 or 5 games, which was good. And going into the derby, I did a show for the Man City game with Leon Osman. We were talking and we were saying, it's not a bad thing if they lose to Man City, because then it would give us more confidence going into the derby, because I just don't feel Everton were in a position to beat Man City, then go and beat Liverpool in the same week. It's a big ask for any team to do that, especially the way Man City. So when they didn't win against City, I was like, this is on now. This is real kind of thing, that going into this derby game, it's going to be close. And it was, I know there's talk of previous seasons when you kind of hope, but that game Saturday, I really believed they were going to win. And the manager got every aspect of it right, every selection process, formation, every kind of detail he got spot on.
I saw how much he meant to the players, because I think it was Abdullah Tukore who did a Snapchat or an Instagram story, and he wrote Anfield is blue, and the changing room was crazy. And I think Mason Holgate was on Rio Ferdinand's channel on what's it called, Rio Ferdinand's YouTube channel, and he spoke about it. He goes, we've been to Anfield many a times, and it was just hard. Every time you lose, you come back and you get it at home, you get people around you talking about it, and it's just a down feeling. But this time around, it was just crazy. It's just the way it was madness.
It's huge, and them celebrations. I've been in Anfield away dressing room, and when they win, and you can hear them. So I could imagine the kind of atmosphere. I wasn't lucky enough to win a game at Anfield for Everton. Won a couple at Goodison. But yeah, the atmosphere when you lose, it's sour. Like you lose any game, it's never great. But to lose that game, yeah, it's particularly sour. So winning, I can imagine it being nice.
Did you always remember bits from the game? Like, for example, he was talking about when one game clock came on at the end of the game and he was like throwing his fist up in the air and he was like, "That's all stuck by me." You know, when you see the manager doing that, you know.
Yeah.
Does that sort
100%.
The big game, does it stick by you?
Yeah, 100%. You keep certain bits to motivate you. And I'm a fan of using anything. If it gets the best out of you, whatever it is, then use it. And I think now we know Klopp. We know it wasn't directly towards Everton. He's just that guy, isn't he? He's that way inclined. But at the time, I'm thinking, here we go. What's going on here? So for them to remember that, a few years later, then yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad they remember that because, as I said, he got the job done. It was part of the reason why they were also motivated and why in.
Cool. Joleon, I want to talk about one more of your teams, if that's all right.
Before we do, just on Everton, do you think that it is very realistic now for Everton to look for European football at the end of the season and get into that top six?
Yeah, 100%. Again, why wouldn't they? It's in their own hands. I know they've got a few tough games to come, but the confidence that would give them from beating a Liverpool Anfield would be huge. It's just a shame now, but for obviously having played for them, the fans are not there because now the fans would be like, that would be an intense atmosphere to go to. That would be intimidating. No one ever really looked forward to going to Everton anyway. But now they're in this position. Yeah, I can imagine it being electric if the fans were there.
I think people have to remember though, Carlo Ancelotti he's a world manager. If people forget that he's an elite, world-class manager and he's in charge of Everton. So
the greatest respect, like as big as this game is, it's probably the smallest derby for him. You know what I mean? What is Madrid, Milan? You know what I mean? He's played in and managed some of the teams in some of the maddest derbies. So I think he was perfect for them right now and perfect for that game. His temperament. I think he's seen it against Spurs in the cup. That kind of image when they score, go ahead, and he's just drinking his coffee or whatever it is. It's just like, I've been here before. Like, I know what this feels like. Cool, let's go again. And I'm just like, yeah, that's a sign of a top manager.
Ancelotti used to be one of the managers back in the 90s where he used to be smoking on the touchline for me. Like, it's like he's
mad to think like that.
He's so old school, but like, you know, he's just won everything. He's done everything. But he's a manager of Everton, which makes it more amazing that they've got potential to go places with a manager like that.
100%.
But let's talk about Wolves, the team where you started, where your dreams became true and became this big football player that you did become. Talk to me about this season. It's been a topsy-turvy season, up and down.
Yeah, again, probably the first time since Nuno's arrived that it hasn't been progressively or got better. He came and got promoted, and then since being in the Premier League, it's just gone like this. So it was going to happen. I think the impact of Jimenez has had a massive dent on how Wolves play. I think he scored like 50% of their goals, you know what I mean? So it was always going to be the case when anyone's top players get injured and miss games, it's difficult. But it hasn't helped them changing formation, bedding players in. And as I said, I think Wolves are in a position where they can experiment a little with new formations and players because I don't think anyone looks at Wolves now and think they're going to get relegated. They're in a relegation dogfight. So again, they're in a position where they can do that. But yeah, the fact that it hasn't gone progressively better is probably the only surprise.
Do you think that a sort of goal of Wolves now for the rest of the season should be just making the top half of the table? Do you think, I think they're in 11th at the moment, but do you think that that's sort of where they're aiming for? Or are they not really aiming for anything and just sort of experimenting, as you say?
No, I think they're aiming, even with the experiment and the changes of the players, I still think they're aiming to finish the top the top 10 easily. Speaking to someone that works at the club when they first got promoted, and I was saying, hopefully they survive. And he was like, this isn't a survival thing. This is like, we're trying to get top 7. And I was like, yeah. He was like, dead serious, but like dead serious, believed it, knew it was going to happen. And I planned for that. So when it happened, again, the season went on, I wasn't surprised the way they're performing. And again, this season now, as I said, it's not been as good as previous years, but it's not unsuccessful. It's just not as been as good. Injuries definitely have played a part in that. As I said, if you take out anyone's top goal scorer, it's difficult for them to score goals, and Wolves are finding that the way now.
I think just the way the season is and the injuries and everything else that you've talked on, I think with the manager that they've got, the players that they've got at their disposal, they've got some great players. Players that are well sought after, like Ruben Neves, even Moutinho, who's been about everywhere. But
I think Neto. I love watching Neto.
He's one of the best youngsters.
Without doubt. I don't even think people realise how young he is. Is it 20?
21.
Yeah, 20, 21. And it's scary. I think if he was English, we would be raving about him. But what he's doing and how he's performing, he deserves a lot of attention and credit. I'm hoping he gets enough praise that he deserves, but not enough so people come looking to snatch him away.
Joleon, I wanted to ask you, in your long career that you had as a football player, where were you the most happiest?
Ooh. I got to say Man City, because I won stuff there, but I wasn't unhappy anywhere.
Okay.
So I don't want you to think like I was only happy at Man City. Like that wasn't the case. I was unhappy with the situation at Villa because I supported them as a boy. But in regards to being happy, who's not happiest when they're winning? Like, I don't know anyone who isn't. Are you happier as a fan when your team's winning? Yes. As a player, you're the same. So I would say the happiest Man City because we're winning, but I wasn't necessarily unhappy at the clubs we spoke about. Obviously,
you're a defender. Just name me that one player that you played against that you thought, bloody hell, this guy's giving me a hard day today.
Louis Saha at Wolves, and I was first season, and he was at Fulham, and he gave me a game, and I thought, oh, there's another level. There's another level to being everything: stronger, quicker, more intelligent, technically better, tactically aware. He was the one that made me realise, yeah, there's a lot more I need to do to be better. Because I played against people that were faster, stronger, and all the attributes, but never collectively. I've never faced someone that had all the attributes I felt I was good at. He had better ones at the same time. Now I was like, oh, this is new. So, and I remember finishing that game, and they beat us 2-0 at Craven Cottage, and I remember thinking, yeah, I'm not as ready as I thought I was prior to that. Not that I was like getting it anyway, but I just knew after that game there was a lot more to do.
Who do you think, from teams that you played on, who do you think was the greatest player that you played alongside?
Oh, this tough one. And I always give this kind of split answer. Player and footballer are different. So footballer, first part, David Silva. Without a doubt, David Silva, the best footballer I played with. But player, I've got to say Yaya Toure, because if they both performed to their best, we could still lose with David Silva. If Yaya was the man of the match, you didn't lose. There's players that if they played well, you just weren't getting beat. It didn't matter what anyone else did. It was going to be over because they decided they are going to win this game. And Yaya had that capability to just say, well, not say, just do things that not many people could do. David Silva was probably more consistent over a longer period, definitely. But in terms of best moments, Yaya was just that one season. I think probably the greatest season. I think if any midfielder has that season now, they win Ballon d'Or. Never mind Premier Player of the Season. And like we won the league, and Yaya Toure didn't even win Player of the Year. I was just like, huh? Crazy.
I think if somebody had a season like that, they'd be worth way over 100 million in this.
100%. I don't know how biased you are, if you like the rest of the United fans. But if Bruno Fernandes has the season that Yaya Toure had, and they win the league, we're talking about him, Bruno Fernandes, as one of the best players ever.
Yeah.
But Yaya doesn't get that accolade.
I don't get it. I don't know. I'm a United fan, but I'm quite open. So I'll agree with you there.
We are a neutral channel.
Oh yeah. I'm just saying. That's why I said I don't know. I just see the pictures on the wall. I thought, yeah.
I know, he doesn't help.
No, the main question, the main question I'm going to ask you is June the 21st. What's going to go down? What are you going to do on June the 21st? What party are you going to throw? Where are you going to be?
I don't even know. I don't even know. It'd be the Euros, so hopefully it's warm, somewhere warm, and I'll be sitting outside watching the games with a drink with some friends. You know what I mean? And be able to see some friends, not over Zoom, not over FaceTime. But again, because of work, hasn't kind of deteriorated that much for me. I'm looking forward to it because friends and family, I'll be able to see them. But I'll probably still be working then.
Yeah, fair enough.
No difference. Joleon, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great talking to you.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Great to be joined there by Joleon Lescott. It was great having such amazing guests on the show. We have more coming though, so stay tuned. It's not over yet. But guys, please keep supporting the channel. Do what you can. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Whatever you can, we appreciate it. Stay tuned and we will see you next time.